had developed a small bit of a relationship with Dennis here at the Write About Jesus conference, and so knowing your producer, I think, is very important, and just getting to see them interact with people and getting to hear what people think of somebody was important to me. And so I was able to, kind of learn a little bit about him sort of on the side before making that choice. So, and saw that he was just a great guy, very, very kind, very tender, and felt like that would be right for me. I think one of the things that I learned from him is just how better to shape my songs. He was really good at taking a look at the songs that I brought and developing a different, sort of a different mood, a different setting for them than I could envision them as being. And before, when I'd gone into a studio setting, I sort of brought that myself. And so he helped to develop those into a different scope that I could appreciate very much. Just working with Dennis, this was a change from doing some things locally for me in the past to coming then to Nashville and seeing a very different side of the recording aspect. Dennis is so professional, and not to say that I haven't worked with some professional people in the past, but it was just a really different atmosphere as he set up these musicians. Everything that we did was truly keeping God at the forefront. He had such a professionalism with the studio people, but he selected them very carefully, and I loved that. As we approached each song, I felt like he did so very prayerfully, and so it just, again, I think it's reflected then in the way the songs came out ultimately on the album. This time around, when I wanted to choose a producer, I had about 3 different people in mind. One was an original producer that I had gone with, and by this time, for this particular project, I certainly knew more about what I was looking for. Some of those things that I was looking for were to be able to find out from this person if they would be working from that aspect of this is a project that needs to reflect Glenn Green, not so much the producer, and that wasn't necessarily a situation that I'd had before. And so in talking to Dennis, I remember asking him, when we work together, how would that look? And so he was very careful about saying, I want to make sure that we pull out your essence from this in each song. So we would work creatively together on that. And he was so willing to have me come any time in that process. And so actually we even made a choice for me to come back a second time in order to overlay some other vocals on there, to add some additional instruments that I think really enhanced the project later. And so he was really open to that, but we had established that from the beginning. And I would say for anybody, make sure that you've talked about those things up front. And so in our pre-conversations, that was one of the things that really drew me to then work with him, was in that pre-conversation. He was so open to saying, again, I want this to be a reflection of who Glenn Green is. And so whatever steps we need to take to make that happen, we're going to do. One of the things that I really thought about in preparation for this was that Dennis and I didn't really know each other well. before my first time with him in the studio. Dennis made it personal from the beginning. Just from the very beginning, he invited me into his family, which has been one of the most special parts of it. He made me not just a brother in Christ, but a true brother in the process. He valued my opinion and my ideas so highly. He invited me to spend time with his family. I mean, I remember actually in the very first week that we were getting together, I remember going to soccer games with he and his family for his son. I remember sitting down at pizza, you know, all of his family, all of us together, and just the intimacy of that he was creating already, even before we were, you know, into the project itself. He just seemed very close, and so that to me already established how this project was going to look on the backside, and that's exactly what I was looking for. He delivered on every note in that way, and so I pray that too, that the intimacy that he shared with me in that way shows through every song. You need to use you some Dennis. Dennis is just an amazing guy, and I've really in speaking with other producer people, I've not run into anybody like him, and so I would say that again, each person needs to find somebody that reflects their personality in a real positive way. Dennis was that and so much more for me. We found that as we worked in studio, we had so much in common and so much to talk about that I realized again in the process that he was absolutely the right choice. But again, I'll go back and say that I took great care and I was very purposeful in having some specific questions to talk with Dennis about, in order to discover the person that he is, in order to discover what he brings out in his production, what his values are as a producer, and I think when you begin to ask those right questions, that you can't help but then have some success on the backside. And so Dennis answered that in every way for me, and so absolutely you owe it to yourself to go and at least meet with him and check out what he has to say, what he has to share, and I believe without question you will see that he has a heart for God. You'll see that he has a heart for the independent artist, and that his love for music is felt very deeply and passionately.